I have been gushing about Kingdom Come Deliverance II for the past few weeks in our internal Slack. I have not been this engrossed by a story-driven RPG since The Witcher 3. This game's been on my wish list since the day I finished the first game. I've spent over 70 hours in the game, getting fully immersed in Warhorse Studios' sequel, and I'm still not ready to put it down. Kingdom Come Deliverance II is the type of game that we don't often get from big-budget studios anymore. It's a slow-paced, narrative-driven adventure with a lot of intertwining gameplay systems and doesn't mind having big, open landscapes for you to traverse without something to find every few meters. You don't have a yellow square to follow on your HUD that leads you directly to the thing you're supposed to find. You're not given a reward for every single quest you complete, or XP that you need to allocate in an obtuse skill tree that you revisit every 10 minutes when you level up. It's a game that keeps you fully immersed in its world at pretty much every corner and expects you, the player, to be intelligent enough to figure things out on your own without having your hand held at every turn. And I love it for that, just like I loved Baldur's Gate 3 for many of the same reasons. I've often found, in a lot of Western AAA games at least, unless there's a really good narrative, I'm often quite bored by what I'm playing, even if I generally like the game. A few years ago, Yahtzee coined the phrase "ghost train ride" for linear blockbuster type games, but I think that same thinking can be applied to a lot of current open world games from Western developers. They have big worlds, with pretty vistas, and the famous marketing line of discovery around every corner. Which usually amounts to some cool looking set dressing with a chest hidden inside, or maybe a dungeon with some combat encounters and a lore book you'll pick up and never think about again. There's not a lot of thinking going on, and there hasn't been for some time. Follow the waypoint to your next objective, fight some bad guys, open the box for loot, get some story bits, and then be on your way to do it all over again. And again. And again. Until the credits roll. Warhorse Studios doesn't do this. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does such a good job of constructing their quests to require you to actually be mentally engaged with them. Somebody needs you to make a potion? Okay, then you need to find the recipe. Find the right ingredients to make that recipe. Then use a journal to follow the instructions to make that recipe. I was asked to find certain types of plants I had never even heard of before, and needed to Google what they looked like to find them in-game. And once you've done all that, it doesn't mean just throw things in a pot via a menu and voila, you've got a potion either. No, you need to follow the steps for preparing the ingredients correctly, boiling them for the correct amount of time, and learning what tools to use to complete the potion. It's a multi-step process that makes you pay attention to the game and not just menu screens. This is just one example of a menial task in the game, but the quests are designed this way too. In one quest early on in the game, you're asked to find a man named the Hermit and bring his sword back to a blacksmith who's trying to help you get into a noble's wedding. But to find the Hermit, you need to go on a multi-step quest that involves talking to a bunch of different townsfolk to find out where he lives, what's the story behind him, and how you can even convince the guy to talk to you. And even with all that information, the game still doesn't give you the answer for how to get the Hermit's sword. Without spoiling too much, I ended up stumbling upon a hidden journal that gave me the answer, which led me to completing the quest. But that was entirely optional and not directed. I'm still not even sure how to do the quest the way the game possibly intended, and I love that. I love just being able to figure things out on my own and have the game reward me for it. So much of AAA game design is just leading me through the game at every opportunity, not allowing me to fail, or just giving me the answer by clicking the right dialogue prompt and then handing me a participation trophy. Even better, this is just one way to complete your core objective of getting into the noble's wedding. Another optional quest has you trying to bring a golem to life. I won't spoil the rest for you, but outside of those two options, there were still more ways I could have gotten into the wedding that I didn't even try. Another quest in Kingdom Come, for example, promises you a great reward for finding a magical arrowhead, and the reward is a moment in the game that had me rolling on the floor laughing. And this is a quest I just stumbled into by randomly meeting an NPC in the world. No quest marker, just a guy who said hello, sitting by the road.
You know you have something sticking out of your forehead, right? It looks a bit like a horn.
A horn? Nobody's called it that yet.
I don't want to just be given the best sword in the game. I want to go look for it, or do something to earn it. I don't want to talk to NPCs because I have to. I want to because they have a story to tell, useful information to give me, and a reason for being where they are. Hopefully not standing still on the same street corner every single moment of the day. I never felt like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was designed to waste my time. Everything I did throughout my playthrough felt like it served a purpose towards furthering Henry's story and his place in the world. The game has a lot of interwoven systems that are designed to immerse you in the setting at all times, and for a lot of people, Yahtzee, that can be cumbersome and boring. Ironically, I often share that feeling for a lot of survival games. Having to track a bunch of different stats like hunger, radiation poisoning, or oxygen often annoys me and pushes me away from games. They often require a lot of tedious menu surfing, which takes you out of the game and slows you down. Gameplay-wise, you're often stuck doing menial tasks like chopping down trees, hacking away at grass, watching in-game timers for an item to smelt, whatever it might be. In Kingdom Come Deliverance II, those menial tasks are all in service of making the setting believable within the context of Henry's story. This is in large part thanks to the systems-driven gameplay of its world, where every NPC has a reason for being there, and reacts to you as a player. Tasks like needing to wash the blood and muck off your clothes so you don't stink, sobering up after a night of drinking so you can walk and talk straight, wearing the right clothing for certain jobs, and making sure to keep your weapons sharpened and your armor in good shape are all little, menial tasks that tie right back into the gameplay of just existing in medieval Bohemia. And while some might decry the realism of it, the fact that NPCs actively acknowledge and respond to your presence in the world is what makes it fun. NPCs will react to you if you're covered in blood or stink because you're crawling around in a big pile of shit for some reason. They'll make fun of you for stumbling around drunk, to which Henry can drunkenly respond and try to explain himself or pick a fight.
Ugh, that's damn strong. Oh, Christ, that's rank.
If you try to be stealthy while wearing a bunch of metal armor, well, you can see where we're going with this. And again, I'm someone who would normally be turned off by all these little things I need to do. But because the world reacts to them in a tangible way, and they're not just annoying stat bars I need to keep track of, everything works. Even the normal tasks that you level up in the game are all tied to just doing things. Need to get better at sword fighting, lockpicking, reading, hunting, drinking? You need to go practice, or learn a new skill from a teacher, and the game will reward you for just doing, not putting you in a menu to keep clicking on little percentage nodes that have no tangible effect on gameplay. The big RPGs that seem to be raking in high review scores and sales numbers these days are the games that respect player intelligence. Games like Baldur's Gate 3 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that don't give you all the answers, allow you to experiment and make mistakes, and really let you tell your own story through gameplay. As games have gotten bigger and bigger, I've become less and less engaged with most of them because so much of the content just doesn't feel meaningful. I don't want to see an arbitrary amount of XP rewarded to me every time I complete a quest. I want something memorable for my time spent. I appreciate that not every game is going to be at the level of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, nor would I want them to be. I also understand the pace of gameplay and number of menial tasks isn't something everyone would enjoy. Not every game is going to be a systems-driven epic, but man do I wish more big AAA games would get more creative with their gameplay design, and not just make it constantly about combat, grindy XP bars, and holding my hand through every single aspect of the game. I loved Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because I was just constantly engaged with it, and not mindlessly pressing buttons to advance the story. It's cliche to say, but I truly felt like I was living through a medieval Bohemian adventure while playing. And that was Warhorse's objective for both the original game and the sequel. I can confidently state that they nailed that for me, and it's not an experience I'll soon forget.